Yeah, let's get to the Cavs after a quick word from FanDuel. Get ready to tackle NFL action or NBA action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL and NBA all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS to join today. Never waste a hunch. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Bull.
Yes.
And guys, another win for the Cavs last night, and I'm going to toss it to you, but I want to give you guys just a little context to what the Cavs have done on this 9-0 start, which sets a franchise record. And if you want to take this graphic here full, Kenny Atkinson is the first coach to ever win his first 9 games with a new franchise.
Oh, so not just Cavs.
Not just the Cavs, ever. First coach in NBA history to take over a team, win his first 9 games. The Cavs are the second team in NBA history to start 9-0 and score 110 points in each of their first 9 games. Really? The Cavs have 4 players averaging 15 or more points. They haven't done that since 30 years ago on the dot. And they have the NBA's #1 most efficient three-point shooting bench in the league right now.
Yeah, and obviously last night, the Pelicans have some guys who were hurt, but Zion Williamson played, Brandon Ingram played last night. The Pelicans had
Jose hit 8 threes in a row?
Yeah, he couldn't be stopped there for a while.
Alvarado was awesome.
The Cavaliers, the worst shooting percentage on the Cavaliers last night, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, was Evan Mobley, who I think was 8 of 19 or whatever.
Yeah, they all shot.
He was barely under 50%. Everybody else on the Cavs, I believe, shot 50% or better. I mean, this is absurd what this team is doing. We're now at the 12% mark of the season or 11%, whatever. I mean, it's a significant amount of games. 9-0. And playing Golden State tomorrow. I mean, how exciting is that going to be?
I'm going now.
You going?
Yeah, you got to, right? The must-have game.
Did we work out the floor seats yet?
No.
Okay,
Come on, man.
Hey,
I wish.
So the more they win, the less likely we got a chance to get on.
No. Right? McNuggets already he promised me for Christmas that he was getting us on this floor.
Did you say that?
Yeah.
I didn't say for Christmas. I said come later in the season we could explore that. But if they keep winning, if they're 82-0, it's going to be harder and harder to get those scores.
What do you got, some rich benefactor over there? What's happening?
I'm going to talk to the Cavs about.
He's a donor.
The Cavs are going to hook us up with floor seats?
Dude.
I have one connection of floor seats. I can see it for a random game.
I like
it. Maybe tickets.
I
got, by the way. They have 4 floor seats, so I can't bring everybody.
Do you know what our record was through 9 games last year was?
Last season, I could tell you.
Yeah.
It wasn't 9-0.
No kidding.
Last season,
6-3.
I'm gonna say 5-4.
6-3.
Doing the mental math here. Last season, they started out.
And you're struggling, Mike.
9 games, 4-5, and they beat Golden State in their 9th game, ironically.
4 and 5. So, was it the coach? I guess when we all sat there and said it's more than the coach, I guess they wasn't wrong.
Well, I mean, to this point, we got a long season to go. We'll see what happens in the playoffs. But to this point, the Cavs at the end of last season told you this. We blame the coach. This team's good enough, and we blame the coach. And right now, they look right.
I tell you what, they had late in that game, they had a series where the ball didn't even touch the ground. Nobody drove. It swung so well, and I think Jarrett might have finished it with a dunk. But it was like, y'all look like the Spurs. I like playing like Greg Popovich's team, man. Like it's just beautiful to see. And then shout out my boy Evan Mobley. Listen, I criticized you a week ago because of some selfish decisions that you made. Actually, that wasn't a week ago. I think that was Tuesday. Criticized you Tuesday.
And by selfish decisions, you mean it cost you a parlay?
Yes, it did. Yeah. Yes, it did. So
hit a 6-teamer last night, all Cavs.
You did? Mm-hmm. You hit 6.
You both hit.
I hit
one, too.
Listen,
I needed Donovan to hit that last and one, man. Because I needed him over 23.5. He had 21. With a minute to go, he had 21.
I needed him for a dub. But so the funniest part about last night, that's why I had to represent the Cavs today, because y'all just, not only did y'all win and y'all started 9-0, y'all hit this parlay for me. But the interesting thing is we get to the end of the game, and I got like 4 legs that I need to be hit. Like I need Evan to score, Jarrett to score, Brandon Ingram to score, and Donovan to score. 4 people. And
With how much time left?
This is like 3 minutes.
Okay.
It's 3-minute mark. And it came down to Jarrett scored, Donovan scored, Brandon Ingram scored. So my wife is looking. I let her in on it, like, I need these four. So she's sitting there watching it, and every time one of them scores, she gives me a high five. So now we waiting on Evan. And my man Darius Garland, listen, this how I know you watched the show, because you knew that I supported you when you was down. My man Darius Garland get the ball, come down, fake the pass, get him to bite, then throw the underhand to Evan. Evan catch it, dunk it, get my parlay. Woo! Boy, the Cavs look good, man. Hey, we going 82-0. I mean, Golden State is tough, but I do think right now the way that the Cavs is playing, it's going to be interesting because Kenny Atkinson's coming from Golden State, so he knows the in and outs. They know they know how to probably defeat what Kenny's doing. So I guess who plays the better defense is going to win this game.
Yeah, put the total at like 245.
And the Warriors,
you think?
It's going to be super high.
Warriors beat the Celtics last night.
They did.
Yeah, they did.
Steph Curry played, so like, assuming Steph plays on Friday, right?
He's off the injury report.
Oh,
So I'm assuming he plays. I mean, this is the game of the year in the NBA so far, which is insane.
I feel like they way better. Than
What's
those.
Golden State's record? 6-3.
7-1.
I feel
Really?
I feel like the Cavs
there's
is
still-
way better.
Is this nationally televised?
That's fine, but you got the Steph Curry cachet.
It's
man.
not,
I mean, Steph is nice, but when it comes to it, Draymond, not really. Here's the difference. Evan Mobley is 7 feet, and now that he is playing with a different type of swag, a different type of basketball feel, now he's a mismatch. I mean, I like Draymond Green, but he can't do nothing. Draymond Green, same size as me.
You guys think Draymond's going to try to do something a little dirty tomorrow?
He gonna try to punk him though.
Yeah.
But
He gonna test him. It'll be a good test for Evan. If he can withstand the mental stuff that Draymond gonna try to play with him, and he's still dominant, like that means to me he's truly arrived. Because Draymond, whether you like him or not, you got to give him his respect. He's a great defensive player. So I would like to see Evan be able to bang against him in the paint.
The way they're playing together is just so fascinating because Jason Lloyd was talking about it the other day, and I was with him last year. I said, I just don't know if Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen can play on the same time, on the same court, especially in crunch time because they don't space the floor. But now that they've made him more of an elbow playmaker, and now that Evan Mobley has the option to push pace early, the Cavs are getting a lot of easy layups in transition because you got two bigs that can really run the floor. Jarrett Allen has a lot of space. He's getting a lot of dunks, moving around. And then Ty Jerome, there was a little shaky
Earl's
part.
boy.
Yeah. Shout out to Earl. His boy done came up. And when it was shaky,
he came off that bench.
He came off the bench and gave him that punch. He hit a couple threes. I think that he's a unsung type guy. And Jason talked about maybe they move him because I think the Cavs are over the luxury tax by a little bit. Ty Jerome. And I said, oh no.
But hold on. Jason had to clarify this on the Cavs show.
Okay.
He is not saying by any means that Ty Jerome is a guy that's going to be moved. He's saying the Cavs currently are like $2 million over the first apron of luxury tax. If you're going to be over the luxury tax, you don't go in by $2 million. You go essentially up. It doesn't make sense to start
But he did say Ty Jerome the other day.
He just threw out a contract that in theory fits. He wasn't saying Ty Jerome's the most likely. He was just saying Ty Jerome makes $2.5 million. If you shed a Ty Jerome, you're under that.
Do they have any useless players that are making that much money?
No.
You can figure it out, or you can pair guys like. Once again, I'm just throwing a name out there for the sake. I'm not saying this, but you could trade Caris, LeVert, who makes 16 for a guy.
You ain't trading Caris right now. No.
I'm just
no, I hear you. I hear you.
Just
better throw out you need to throw out another name.
Yeah.
Now that Mike just made that more confusing.
Right.
Yeah, he did.
Now Mike's saying trade Caris, LeVert.
No, I'm just saying you got to get.
Well, don't bring him up if you're not saying him.
It ain't nobody at the end of the bench. What's Tristan Thompson, man?
This is the problem. When you get good, it's going to be hard for him to do anything because now people like Bull is actually watching.
Well, here's what I said.
That's right.
Here's what I said on Tuesday. So we all said the Cavs can't start their clock yet, right? They want to do it until the extensions kick in, which is next year. But if they are 9-0, 10-0, 11-0, if they feel like they can compete for a championship, you can't kick that down the road. You got to do the opposite.
Right.
And start the clock now.
That's true.
Because your championship window is not guaranteed in 5 years. It could be this year.
It's a good point. I don't want to hear about them getting rid of a player that's helping them, even if he's just helping them a little bit. They're 9-0. we're getting into the mode where we're gonna expect them to contend for a title
every game and contend for a title.
Especially what's they schedule upcoming?
All I know is the Warriors They got a game Sunday.
They have the Nets Saturday.
They got a game.
Okay,
and they have
Saturday.
The Bulls on Monday. They play back to back.
Oh,
those teams stink, right?
Yeah.
No, the Nets are frisky. The Bulls stink, and then they have.
Nets are like 500.
They have the 76ers on Wednesday in Philly in Embiid's first game of the year.
Okay.
That would be
come
interesting.
up with some other injury.
That would be. You need to stop that. You need to stop.
He's soft. What are you going to do?
Embiid?
Yeah.
He's also awesome.
He is awesome. Yeah.
But he's soft.
But he's a unicorn, dude. I mean, there's a couple
soft,
of them in the league.
but he's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to say one thing about Kenny Atkinson is he's getting so much out of the bench right now. And the one thing that's wild to me, we talk about J.B. Bickerstaff a lot and, the job that he did or didn't do with our core four. Well, first off, the core four are all playing a lot better, certainly together. Garland is like a different guy. Mobley's like a different guy. But, dude, you're bringing Sam Merrill off the bench as basically your number one guy off the bench. And he is playing 15 to 20 minutes a night, roughly.
Yeah.
This is a guy who's the same player as he was last year who would go from playing 20 minutes to a DNP for 4 games.
I know, it's weird.
So, that to me tells me all I need to know about J.B. Bickerstaff in the feel for this roster in the bench. Caris LeVert, all of a sudden, look at that game last night. He was fantastic last night.
Yeah. I believe the bench was 50% from 3, weren't they?
Last night?
I think the bench shot 50% from 3.
Let's do it real quick.
And it was a lot of threes.
Niang was 1 for 5. LeVert was 2 for 4. Jerome
3
2 for
9.
2.
Jerome what?
2 for 2.
That's 5 for 11.
Merrill 3 for 6.
That's 8 for 17.
And Porter Jr. 1 for 1.
9 for 18. Yeah, it's 50%. So you get 50% off the bench shooting threes?
How
you're going to win every time.
Mikey, how are they hiding Merrill defensively?
They're not. He's actually turned into a really intelligent defender. Now, he's not going to lock down Jalen Brunson one-on-one for 10 straight possessions, but he's in the right spot all the time. They're being more aggressive on the wings with their perimeter defenders because they have Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley roaming the paint in case they do get blown by. But Merrill's taken on that as a personal challenge this year. He's talked about it a ton, and he's done, in my opinion, not just a serviceable, but a pretty good job staying in front of guys. Good offense is going to beat good defense every time. You just got to make it a difficult shot. And more often than not, he's done a really good job forcing guys into counters instead of getting to their primary.
And you know, like with defense, you don't have to be great. You just got to be competent.
So you
just can't be a liability on the floor.
So they still kind of using JB's philosophy on defense?
They're not using JB's anything.
That's what they did last year.
They're switching a ton more with everybody. If you notice, Jarrett Allen, they switched with Evan Mobley last year. Very rarely on certain occasions would they actually switch big and little with Jarrett Allen in a pick and roll. They're doing that constantly this year and saying, hey, Jarrett, you're a great defender on the perimeter. Like, we're going to make – and he did it against Dame late in the game and forced Dame to kick it to the corner on a play where he thought he had an opportunity to drive, and Jarrett shut him down.
You know what I noticed? I usually watch the game, so I watch the game locally. Then I always like to go back to YouTube because I like to hear the away team's announcers, like the announcers for the other squad. And they talk about –
Don't you got League Pass?
No, I got League Pass. I got the FanDuel app. Okay. The FanDuel, it's called the FanDuel Network.
Formerly known as Balance.
Yeah, so I got that. So I usually watch on the app, and then I go back again and watch the YouTube short and condensed version. And I listened to the Pelicans announcers, and they talked about how much
my boy Joel Myers.
Yeah, I like them two dudes.
Great.
I worked with him a couple games.
They talk about how it was a nightmare for the Pelicans because they kept getting switched off on Jarrett Allen and Evan Mobley, and Zion Williamson couldn't get to the rack. They couldn't, contested. Brandon Ingram hit some tough shots, but there was times where, Evan Mobley's like here in his face. These are contested tough shots. And they're like, listen, the Cavs is not a mirage. These guys got guards. They got length. They run the floor. They are contenders.
I do think Zion did really well late in that game.
Late. Yeah.
Like he was putting it was like give him the ball and he was going to the paint and he was getting and-1s and all kind of
things. Yeah. By the way, did you notice that Zion's got a little Greg Oden going on? Like aging. Very
with the beard?
He looks old as hell right now. His face in
the beard threw me off. I ain't gonna lie.
It's like he's 40.
Zion, man,
how many points he finished with last night?
Zion?
Yeah.
He had 29.
He is so, I don't know how to feel. I just don't know, like, is he disappointing to me?
You feel kind?
I feel like
coming out of Duke.
He's just never healthy. He hasn't been healthy enough. That's the biggest issue.
He's not, if he gets under the basket, I've never seen a 6'4" guy just dominate like that.
He's not 6'4".
Oh, Zion's like, I feel
he's 6'7".
He's like 6'6", 6'7".
I feel like he's 6'3" and a half. I feel like he's Charles Barkley.
By the way, 12 days from now, the Cavs play in Boston.
Big time match.
That's going to be wild.
Question for you guys. So the game was tied at half. And in the third quarter, the Cavs had their breakout quarter, scored 40 points in the third quarter. The bench, what we mentioned earlier, again, they played a terrific third quarter. It was the first time, at least in maybe early this season, where the Cavs hadn't had some sort of lead at halftime. And they were kind of forced to make some mini adjustments. Tyvis, we talked about Atkinson, but knowing that their backs weren't against the wall, it's halftime. But to come out and put on a performance from an offensive standpoint like we saw in the third quarter yesterday, in a game where at least early shots weren't falling to the level they had been, I'm running out of ways to describe it other than I continue to be impressed and more impressed and more impressed by what this team's doing.
No, they trust the system. That's what it is. They trust their guys. Just because it's not falling in the first half, the good news is, like I said, what I like about this team is it's not all dependent on Donovan anymore. And for last night's calls, it wasn't none of the starters. Ty Jerome was the one that came in and brought the thing back to life with what he did in the second quarter. Once you got that thing even again, it's like, all right, y'all, let's go out here and let's shake this off, continue to trust the system. And then everybody started to come alive. Donovan started to make his shots. Evan, the only bad thing about Evan is he got in foul trouble, so he obviously missed a good chunk of that game in the second half. But Jarrett Allen continued to dominate. And the only thing I didn't like is that Zion started to get off in the second half. Outside of that, offensively, I thought they were still moving the ball great. Sam Merrill came in and hit the shots. Caris LeVert looked great. Like, it's so many different guys that can step in and be that momentum swing, to where last year it was like, if Donovan ain't doing it, and Darius was probably out at this point, so it was all just Donovan. If Donovan ain't facilitating it or he not scoring, we're not going to have any offense. And that's not the case. There's so many different guys that's contributing that it becomes overwhelming to teams at point. It's like, dude, you can't slack off nobody because they can hurt you.
There's no more of the come down the court, dribble, like ISO basketball, where in the past you had just Donovan trying to play hero ball. And there's been so much less of that. I mean, I love the fact that Kenny came from the Warriors because he knows how ball movement should work and how offenses should basically play in this day and age of the NBA. So we didn't see that last year. You saw so much more stagnant offense. Yeah, there were fun moments where they get up and down the court because we've got good players. But this year, who cares? I mean, tonight could be Evan. He could score 30.
Right.
Could be Jarrett Allen. Could be Garland.
I'm waiting on the Moby.
Could be Caris LeVert.
I'm waiting on the Moby 30 game. Oh, yeah. Earl, you out of line. Earl is out of line. Earl's harassing me. He wants everybody to know that Ty Jerome is taking over the keys of the franchise from Donovan Mitchell. He want me to put the word out that we back up.
Didn't Earl say last year Donovan Mitchell's better than LeBron? Didn't he say that?
Did he?
He said, yeah.
You know what? I look at the whole coaching thing. And sometimes you're just a starter coach. Sometimes starter coaches is like your college girlfriend. Yeah, we dated in college. It was cool. You meet the parents. They take you out to eat. But you looking at you like, hold on. We going to do this forever? Nah, dog, we not about to do it forever. You about to go to another city and get a job. I'm going to go to this other city and get a job. We're going to try to play the long distance thing for about 3-4 months and figure out, you know what? We was just around each other. It was good while it lasted, man. And then you move on.
That's harsh, G.
It is like that, though. It's sometimes you get in a relationship and that person prepares you for the next person.
And guess
it's just what it is.
And usually it's the woman that's smart enough to dump me. Nah, that was all right, man. This is all cool. I need to upgrade. It's all about these W-2s at this point. Now listen. Now if you got JB Bickerstaff, JB is great because he can get young guys to buy in and try to play hard. He's a motivator. That's what his skill set is. That's his archetype. But that runs thin when you start having guys like Donovan Mitchell. That don't work on them. You got to give Donovan Mitchell a plan. You got to have X's and O's.
Yeah.
And you're going to have something in the system that says, I can get you to the next level and beat the Celtics. He didn't have that. People started to tune that out. And when you watch the basketball last year, it's just high pick and roll. No motion, no nothing. Evan Mobley is just sitting under the basket looking around. Jarrett Allen is a glorified, garbage type dude where he's just putbacks. And then you put so much stress on people like Darius Garland because now you're asking them to deliver or create at the end of the shot clock the entire game against guys bigger. It just don't work. So, we've seen that type of ball played at the highest level with Kyrie and LeBron, and they ISO'd their way right to a championship because they're that talented. But when you ain't got those two guys and you got, a little tier less than that, it don't work the same way.
That's the difference, right? When you have LeBron, you could really do anything.
Oh, yeah.
LeBron, you got LeBron. Donovan Mitchell's a great player, but he's not LeBron.
Don't tell Earl that.
Yeah, that's right. But you have a lot of talent on this team. Now you have what appears to be the right coach for this team. It feels like the sky's the limit.
I just don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves.
No,
I love Kenny.
We're not.
I mean, listen, Stephen Vogt got off to a great start. I mean, maybe a little different, but still,
Well, he made it to the conference
I was
finals.
about to say.
Right. So, I mean, that's the thing. But I do remember there was a time this year where they fell back,
That's true.
we were critical of Vogt. So I'm sure that at some point Kenny Atkinson's going to have a tough stretch this year.
There will be, you'd think.
It could be injuries or whatever.
Yeah.
It happens. Like you're playing 82 games. It's a game of attrition at times.
Are you insinuating that we're not going 82-0?
We're not going 82-0. Mikey, you were here yesterday. Mikey wants to see if we could go 67-15.
Yeah.
Mikey,
Good math? Old Fox math?
Is this team more comparable to the Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton Pistons, the San Antonio Spurs with Duncan and Ginobili, or the first Golden State Warriors iteration? What style do they play most like?
Spurs, right?
Stylistic and roster.
Spurs more stylistically from a stand. See, I like the Pistons comparison in terms of the roster makeup.
Yeah.
But the Pistons scored like 74 points a game.
Oh, they were
and the
just-
NBA was so different back then that, like, stylistically speaking.
And Donovan Mitchell was way better than anybody the Pistons had. No?
Yeah, that's why I'm just saying I
Yeah.
like they have the two legit bigs and Rasheed and Ben Wallace.
Yeah.
And
Right.
they had a bunch of different guards kind of interchangeable.
Tayshaun.
Chauncey.
Warriors in that first iteration, they revolutionized The Cavs
Yeah,
aren't revolutionizing basketball. So of the three, I'd say the Spurs. One more thing on the Cavs, and then we could pivot. But the last two games, Dean Wade's been out with an illness. We'll see what he does on Friday. We got to give Isaac Okoro a real quick shout-out for stepping and filling into that
doing
three
his
role.
thing.
His numbers don't jump off the screen, but he's a team high in terms of plus-minus when his minutes on the court. Over the last two games, he's filled in. Only took 3 shots last night, made all 3.
Well, let me
Had
ask
4
you this,
rebounds,
Mike.
2 assists.
His
Go ahead,
plus
finish
minus
it.
is better than Ty Jerome's?
Over the last 2 games combined.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm curious.
And last night, too. Ty Jerome was only +1 last night.
I'm curious. I hear the plus, unlike football and baseball, I don't really know, what are the best stats in terms of analytics for basketball. Is plus minus really a good stat? It seems like a stat that gets brought up that's overrated. I don't know.
I don't think it's an end-all, be-all by any means. But I do think if you look at it over the course of a prolonged period of time, if your plus-minus is in the higher numbers and the pluses, that means when you're on the court, your team's generally better. And there are certain guys, and it's not perfect because the rotations and who you're playing with matters a ton.
Yeah.
But I do think it matters for something. I don't think it's a useless stat. It's not my favorite. I like offensive rating, defensive rating, and net rating better. But plus-minus does give you a little information.
Okay.